Hello everybody, Dr. Amir here. Another random topic video from me today. I want to talk about a statement Watt made in Gigi's most recent tirade video. In response to a statement from Angela, Watt introduced the term ad absurdum, as he said it, and described it as, quote, where you take what the truth is and you twist it to the point of absurdity, end quote. So let's talk about that. Firstly, that's all incorrect, maybe to no one's surprise. The term, the definition, the deployment, and the pronunciation were all a little off. In rounding out research to add what I had learned in school, I came across a clip from the Big Bang Theory that specifically references this. I would guess this is where Watt got the term to begin with, as the show uses it incorrectly in the same way Watt did.
What?
He's engaging in reductio ad absurdum. It's the logical fallacy of extending someone's argument to ridiculous proportions and then criticizing the result, and I do not appreciate it.
I'm not faulting Watt for the misunderstanding, though. I imagine his brain is preoccupied with more pressing matters, such as how he can buy a belt. So let's run through what it is, how it was used incorrectly, and then we'll wrap up with a correct example. Many have heard Latin described as a dead language. Essentially, it's just a language that is no longer being developed. But many contemporary languages were influenced by Latin, including English, and existing Latin is still widely used in the scientific community. Ad absurdum is Latin for the absurd. It's also a term in the study of philosophy. In philosophy, ad absurdum is a form of debate that aims to prove a viewpoint to be true by proving the opposing viewpoint as false, by showing that the falsity would be factually inaccurate or contradictory if it were true. There are multiple forms of ad absurdum, and they're all similar, but the common one we're using today is reductio ad absurdum, or reductio ad absurdum, which loosely translates to reduce to the absurd. For now, let's use a simplified if-then statement to explain this fully. If argument plus supplemental references equals a logical statement, then that statement is true. Alternatively, if the argument plus supplemental references equals an absurd or contradictory statement, then that argument is false. A common example we can put in this formula is the rhetorical argument, well, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do that too? We can list out some known facts. Jumping off a bridge often results in serious injury or death. People don't generally want to get seriously injured or die, especially for something as trivial as copying what your friend does. This makes an absurd statement, so it is an example of ad absurdum. Now let's go over Watt's explanation and example in the formula. The argument is, George believes the Jamie voicemails are fake. Now, we can complete the equation ourselves from here, if we wanted. Some known facts. Voicemails are made by a voice. A voice can be imitated by a different person, so the argument is logical. So that makes a logical statement, and can be true. But for Watt's example, he's going to add in the admissions he created himself, or the known fact, which was just him making a joke. Watt's supplemental reference is Will achieving a feminine voice by shoving up his balls really high, playing off the cliched joke that a man gets a high-pitched voice when his testicles are severely injured or recede back into his body. Anatomical problems aside, the result where Will physically emasculated himself to fake a voicemail is certainly absurd and would easily prove the argument from Angela is false, thus accomplishing Watt's goal. But here's the important outlier. These supplemental references are not known facts or admissions. They are Watt's opinions, which he himself made absurd with his hilarious joke. So the prevailing message to take away is this: adding your own absurdity to another person's argument to make the argument sound false is not ad absurdum. It is, however, one of the telltale signs of gaslighting. I only bring that up because George and Watt still seem to have a hard time understanding that term. Let's look at another example from the latest tirade. Let's do an actual ad absurdum to see how it works correctly. The argument made by George: Jamie loved me. Known fact: love is unconditional attachment. Admission: at 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 20 seconds. Quote, I had to cut off the money supply, and that's why she left. End quote. That means the money supply is the condition that attached Jamie to George. That creates a conflicting statement, a directly conflicting statement. So the original argument from George that Jamie loved me is proven to be false. This formula can be applied to a lot of what George has said over the years. If there are any you see yourselves, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'd love to read them. Also, let me know if you think this video got a bit too far in the weeds of the science, so to say. I really walked that line between interesting and boring with this kind of subject matter. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching and have a great day.